All right, what's up everybody, it's Daniel, and today I want to show you a little bit of what we do to help make our shop run effectively. And one of the tools that we use is 5S, which is a lean manufacturing principle that means sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. So basically, sort means we're going to get rid of what we don't need. Set in order means everything's going to have a home. Shine means we're going to clean it with purpose, looking for ways that we can better organize it. Standardize means that we're going to have a standard that we uphold to in a standard way that we do work. And then sustain means we want to build a sustainable process, and then we have to have the discipline to do the work to keep that system up to the standard. Today we're going to go through our welding and grinding consumables to just keep improving the way that we organize that system, using 5S as the tool to get that done. So check it out. Today's Saturday, so I'm doing a little 5S stuff around the shop. Today we're going over grinding consumables, which a lot of shops seem like they just kind of overlook. We take this very serious because when we need one or a particular one, we know exactly where it's going to be and we can have confidence it will always be there. So I'm going to go through some of the stuff that we have to do continuously to improve that system and to sustain that system so that it works effectively. So one of the first things with 5S is sort. So as I'm going through this and I'm sorting out the things that we don't actually need. So I've found, quite a bit of consumables. It's just kind of burdening our life when we're looking for what we need. So I'm not necessarily going to throw these away. I might put them in a bin for, use them up, but don't reorder them. I'll probably put those where our 5S sorted out stuff will be. We'll put that in the Connex box. So if we don't use it in time, we'll get rid of it. We got a rack we can get rid of. We got a bunch of old grinding discs, foam, some random parts. So I'm getting that out of the way of our consumables. A few things that I found while I was sorting this stuff out. We have these grinding discs. Somebody bought them. We've never even used them. So they're probably useful for somebody. They're just not useful for us. They're in our way though. They're confusing our system. So we're just gonna throw those away. We also have welding wire. We have this spool of wire that's barely got any left. So it's literally not worth the labor to put this back into the machine. Someone probably switched out from solid wire to flux core or something like that, but they put this damn near empty spool back into our consumable storage. This should just be thrown out because it's just gonna get moved around 100 times. No one's gonna come use this to put in a weld machine because they know they're gonna have to switch it out in 10 minutes. So we're just gonna toss that out. Okay, another one that I've found is people have this kind of tendency to wanna buy more, like, hey man, we use this a lot, buy 100 of them. And what ends up happening is, I think of when you have an abundance of something, people waste it more. So here would be an example of that where we have, looks like 5 of these backing pads for a particular grinding disc we use. And then what happens on top of that is people will they'll put this back in the stack. This is clearly broken. So it should be sorted out and just gotten rid of. And then we need to have a system where we don't just keep opening a box of a new one, using it, and then opening a brand new box. We don't always need to have a brand new backing pad. So we don't want to have too many things because people start kind of mistreating this weird psychology that happens. When we go through this and do these 5S activities, we find stuff like this. It's literally trash. We just got to get out of our way, clear up our mind. Here's another thing as we 5S, we'll find like a grinding disc like this that's got a chip out of the corner. Someone's going to grab this. It's going to be an unsafe thing. They'll probably notice it right away and throw it out. But these are why we do it now. Put time into the 5S activity so that when we go look for that grinding disc, we don't inadvertently put a bad one on and cost ourselves more time later on when it's kind of more critical time. We got to get rid of what we don't need, and the kind of rule I go by is when in doubt, throw it out. So this is a 3-inch backing pad that's used on an air tool for the row lock pads, which is great for fine finishing. This is the same thing, it's just for a 4-inch pad, and this is made to go on a regular 4.5-inch electric grinder, 5/8 arbor. So you could put something like this that's just slightly bigger than you would use on the air tool. But what that means is now we need to manage all these consumables again. We have more things to keep track of and repair. And even if I go look where these have been kept on our shadow boards, I find one of them and there's a Rolock pad is broken off in there. And that's something that's just gonna happen. But again, why do we sort things out we don't need? Because if you have 2 of something breaks, they're just gonna hide it kind of, that's just human nature, and go grab another tool or go grab another one of these. Whereas if you have just what you need, you're gonna make that repair and get right back to work, because while it seems quicker to just jump to the next thing, and it's sometimes in an emergency or some really stressful schedule situation it is, ultimately it costs you more time and definitely costs you more frustration if you took the time to put this on the grinder, went and got the pad, go to put it on only to find that this thing stuck in there, and now you got to go get it out in order to get it to work. That's incredibly frustrating. And that's one of the major reasons why we do 5S, reduce frustration. Okay, so here's that one that had the broken tip from the actual grinding disc in it. I spent a good 5 minutes trying to get that thing out. At some point, it's sunk cost fallacy. It ain't worth the labor to try to save it, so good riddance. All right, so here you can start seeing we got everything sorted out that we don't need, and we've got the things back in the bins that we do. I relabeled them just to make it a little more easy to understand, simpler language on the front. And right now we've got the Kanban cards printed out. So I've got all the Kanban cards, which I'll go over that later. We have the holders for the cards. All the consumables are in their particular bin. So I'll show you now what we do with our Kanban system. Okay, so what we do for these cards that you can see here, so if I got cutoff wheel, I have this card right here that's just in the front. So it's gonna tell me where do we get it, how many we buy, when do we buy them, how long does it take to get here, and it's got a little picture on it. We made these little sleeves, so that's a standard business card lamination pouch. So we have a program, Gemba we used to create that card. We made this little 3D printed sleeve holder. We get some just cheap little two-sided tape. We just print these in the background, make a pile of them every once in a while, and they work great. So we used to use the sleeves. They're a little harder to get them in and out of, especially the old style. We made all this stuff from scratch. So this was how we originally started. We've just kind of continually evolved even the system by which we use our Kanban cards to just reduce that friction, just make it that much easier to manage your consumables, because without this stuff, it's impossible to do our work. So now you can see everything is got a home. We've sorted out what we don't need for grinding consumables. It's all standardized, so they're always being held the same way. Okay, so carrying on, we got our grinding consumables done. Now our welding wire is pretty well sorted out. We got Kanban cards for all that. That's pretty labeled. I come down to this next shelf where we have some extra TIG torches, some TIG weld repair parts if we need to on the torch. But what we have over here is way too many filters for our welding fume extractor. So we're not gonna go through that many in a long time. So some of these can go into the Connex box for storage, and we can free up some space for some other stuff that would be more relevant to have close by. So I'm gonna start cleaning that section up now. So I can see what I think happened here. So this thing says, it might be hard to see, but it says when there's 2 left, order another 6-pack. It looks like somebody ordered 6 packs of 6. Looks like the system was right, probably a human error, but because of that human error, maybe we need to modify the system. Maybe it just needs a little reminder, because now excess inventory is causing us issues over here. Here's another little trick we've learned. So this is the backing pad that we do like for the air tools. We've got so many of these. I mean, this is like take us forever to go through this. So a couple things. One, it's got all this extra plastic. So I'm gonna open that up so it's more visual so you can see it right away. You're not digging through plastic bags. Another thing is I'm gonna look at this Kanban card and see it says to order 12. I gotta see why we're ordering 12 of these. We probably need to order a couple of them at a time. Every once in a while we find a little flaw in the system. We gotta refine the system. Don't throw the system away. So that's this continuous improvement. You gotta keep putting in these sustaining efforts to just keep making it better and easier. We can really quickly update this system. So it says to order a 12-pack of these, which is over 200 bucks. We're never gonna use that in a long time. So we have this excess inventory, basically taking $200, putting it on the shelf, turning it into these that people are gonna kind of use less efficiently and effectively because, hey, I got 12 of them, and they might just sit there forever. So either way, we're kind of wasting our capital. We could spend that on our employees, or we could invest somewhere else in the business. So all I do is I go online, I find the ones that we actually need, and then I can change the stuff in Gemba so that we have the correct part number with the correct quantity. I'll reprint this card, so that way our minimum order will probably be 1 or 2, because we'll already have some on other tools. We just need 1 or 2 backups. We'll order a few more when we need there. That way we're not sitting on a dozen parts that we'll never use. All right, so here's how Gemba works. We save all that information, it'll print it out. It'll print it out in a couple different sizes, and then we actually just use the smallest size. So we just cut that on the paper cutter real quick. We use the standard business card laminator pouches, so we can cut it, trim it. The pouches are right there, put it in the pouch, laminate it right here. So you have that card in just, a couple minutes tops. All right, so that card gets laminated. What's cool about it is it has all the information we need. We don't have our own part number, so we don't need that on there, but it has all the information, a nice little picture. It's It's also got a QR code, so if we scan that, it's going to go right to that site. So we have a scanner in the office in the procurement department, so they just scan to that place, put how many they need to order, and our investment of a couple minutes here streamlines forever into the future, takes something down that would take 5-10 minutes down to less than a minute. So a little bit of investment up front really saves time on the back end. So we got that, our little 3D printed thing, stuck the inside of the box in the same spot. One of the things that we wanted was a one-handed system. So we used to have 2 hands to get this card out. And as simple as that sounds, this is so much easier. And reducing that friction to just pull this card, that matters. We found that to help drive success on here. So someone will just pull this card, and then right over here, we need to make a system where we can one-hand that operation. So maybe we change this to little pockets, because we're just trying to constantly reduce friction to make the system work for us. So we've got this stuff sorted out, which is good. We got to get it labeled so it's clear. We don't really like to have words, but normally we want a picture, but a picture wouldn't probably work well. So when we do need words, we use these labels. This is off a demo printer. It's super easy. It takes like seconds to make these things. So then we can put these labels right on the front. You'll see we still got to make a Kanban for this backing pad. And we have the old style Kanban here, but you can see that's one of the ones that requires 2 hands, and it's a real pain to get those out. That's the ones we used to use with our own system. So we found a better way to do that. While I'm here, I'm gonna stop and fix it so we get that standard back up to the high standard we're looking for. All right, here's something I found while I was 5S in the area. I didn't have any of these braided wire wheels that we do use for cleaning off welds and prepping welds. Any new ones, we have all these used ones. So we got to improve that system, because if this one's good, then that one would have been good, which means we shouldn't have had all these getting taken out. I can tell this one's probably been sitting around because it's getting rusty. So I got to get a Kanban so that we have this, because I don't have a bin for these right now, which is probably contributing to some of this issue. I need to have a better storage system for it. I need to look up the best part number that we can use, because it looks like these are all different brands, so that's probably contributing to the problem as well. All right, so I'm on my desk. It's 8:35, and I'm going to see how long it takes to look this up and then to find and to create a Kanban for this. All right, so we're about 3 minutes into this. I've found one online, and I've created the card. I'm printing it out right now, so now I'm going to go actually turn it into a Kanban card. Here's my sheet, and I've even made layout lines on the paper cutter, so I have 4 cuts to make, but I've laid them out. I turn it clockwise as I go to simplify that process. All right, I got it cut real quick, put it in the laminating card, send it. All right, there's my card, and not quite 5 minutes have passed. Okay, so we just made this 4-inch wire wheel. We don't have any in stock right now, so I'm gonna pull that card right now and go get it hung up so we get those ordered and in stock. And you can see, because we've standardized this, I'm still gotta stick the Kanban thing there. You can see, since we have a standardized system, we've gave ourselves room to grow as needed, so that we can just keep using the exact same method. We can subtract and add to it without having to reinvent the whole process. One thing I realized while I was doing this is if I do stack them, I'm gonna have to unstack this to get that card out. That's friction. That's just creating another challenge, another barrier to doing the right way. Got to make the easiest way the right way. So I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna move these holders so that I can not only see it better, but I can pull this card out and I can install this card with one hand. So something as simple as the position of these cards can be the difference between success and failure. And the thing to keep in mind is, just because, even 20 minutes ago, I thought this was a great idea, until I realized, this might be a better way. Let me try it. So I'm going to switch these around to reduce that friction, make it easier, make the process work for us. Now we got this thing cleaned up. We did put a label on the top to just add some clarity of what's going on here. All the Kanbans are there. They're all easy to grab with one finger. I got a few that I found that we got to actually pull to get them ordered. But now everything for the 4-inch grinders are on the right, kind of the other stuff's on the left. The welding wire I combined right here, and I put the Kanban cards on the left. There's some wire that we don't actually need that much. It looks like we must have ordered too much. We use it very rarely, so there's no reason to make a Kanban and inadvertently buy more. We got our torch repair kits and the polishing stuff down below. So this box is now much easier to understand, much easier to benefit us in speeding up the time it takes to go get what we need, and also when we need more, to go order what we need. We look at all the things that came out of that box. This was all stuffed in there. That was just stuff in our way. So we're not going to throw all that out, but we're going to go put it in deep storage so that when we do need it, if we do need it, we have a place, but it's out of the way. So one last thing I did to this box was you used to have to grab this and slide it up in order to get the doors to open. So it required two hands and it was just kind of finicky. So what I did instead was stuck a magnet, the one top, one at the bottom. Now the door will still close. Keep the dust out of there, but it will hold tight enough that if we got fans blowing on it hard, it ain't going anywhere. So one more way to just reduce that friction, get a two-handed task down to one hand. All right, so now you can see how this is just a small example of how we use 5S as a tool to better optimize our best and most important resource, which is labor and time. So we went through this box and got everything up one more notch. So we kind of raised the standard. We did that sustaining effort, that discipline to keep it up to that high standard. So hope you guys learned something. If you got any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.